Did you know that the program or developers spend up to 30% of their time on non-programming related work during their typical work day or work week? Now, this could be an administrative sort of work or documenting or brainstorming the ideas or debugging. But it is very important as a programmer that you are effective at these different works so that you can maximize your efficiency. And so in this video tutorial series, I would like to show you some of the must-have tools in your toolbox as a developer to make you an effective and productive programmer. And so here are some of the tools that we are going to take a look. And today we are going to look into Winmerge, which is a code comparison, merging, and conflict resolution tool. So let's get started. Hello everyone, this is Amit. In this video, we will learn how to use Winmerge, which is a tool to compare text files or find the difference between those and even merge those. And so we'll go through all these steps. We will learn what it exactly is for, how to download it, how to use it. We'll also do some example of comparing and merging files. And at last, we'll also do some cool tricks with Winmerge. All right, so let's start. So what exactly is Winmerge for? And so it is basically used to compare two files. Now, if you're a programmer, you may have some kind of a version control. And if you're working on some source code, you make some changes and you would like to compare it with the previous version of that file, you can use Winmerge. Let's say your colleague send you a changed file and you would like to know what difference between the two. You can use Winmerge. It is extremely powerful. It is free to use. It's open source, so you can compare two files and even three files if you have three different changes of the same file. Then you can compare three of them together, though it might be a little tricky. Usually the most common practice is just to compare two files. You can also resolve conflict. For example, if you have a Git or SVN version control or repository and there's a conflict between the files because of the changes, you can resolve that conflict using Winmerge. Now, how do you download that? So there are two ways to download it. One is using a Choco, which is a Windows package manager. I have made a video about Choco in which I go into details. It's a very easy way to install Winmerge. All you need to do is just a one line of text in a command prompt, and so you can try that and look at that video. But if you would like to go just a usual way, you can go to the Winmerge website and download it. So let's try that. So I'm going to search for Winmerge, and usually it shows up right here, winmerge.org, and I'm directly going to go to the downloads. Now there are different versions or different ways of downloading these. The most common is the setup executable. If you are using a 64-bit application or the Windows operating system, then you try this, or otherwise you try this one. So the most part, this should be the default one. If you don't have admin rights, you can even install. I think one of these have a zipped version which does not need installation. It's called a portable application. But in this case, we'll use this. So let's go ahead and download it, and it's pretty simple, as you can see. Now, in order to install it, you just click on it. It's usually into the downloads folder. So I'm going to click on this and just go through the regular installation. So next, all the defaults should be good enough. So I'm not going to make changes. If you are interested in different languages, or if you would like the menu to appear in a different language, then you can pick your own language here. They have a support for many languages, but in our case we'll just use English. So next. So here actually is an interesting part. Here is what enables a right-click menu option, and so make sure that you keep that. And it can also integrate with Git if you have a TortoiseGIT. I don't have a video right now, but I might make a video later on, so please check out my channel if you're looking at this video. And you can create a shortcut if you need to. So click next. Let's keep the defaults as it is, and it should be pretty quick. So it should be done. Okay, so that's it. So I just installed Winmerge. So let's go ahead and launch it. And so by default, it looks pretty plain. I mean, there's not much to look here. But if you go to view, edit, and go to options. There are all these preferences that you can change or you can set, and so we'll keep it as it is right now. We don't want to make any changes right now, but later on, if we need to, we will look into that. All right, so that's how the Winmerge looks like. Now, one way to compare two files is opening Winmerge, and so you can open Winmerge from your Windows Start menu, and then you can go to File and click Open. And now you can set your two files that you would like to compare. It also gives you an option to compare the third file, but we won't do that in this particular tutorial because it can be a little more tricky. And so let's go ahead and go to this dev folder here, and I have a folder called Python. Okay, so let's pick this basic Python, and then I'm going to try this basic python1.py.com py file. All right, and let's click on compare. All right, so you can see that it automatically is able to find the difference between the two files. Before we go into this detail, let's go back here. And so we just learned how to download Winmerge. As I said, if you're interested in way to install using a package manager Choco, you can check out that video. But we just learned how to download this. Now the next part is how to use it. So we are right here from the start menu. So basically we open Winmerge and then just go to File and Open and so on. Okay. All right. So other way to check or compare two files is actually from right click menu. And so let me open this two files. It's right here. And if you actually right click, you will see that there is an option for Winmerge here, right? And so what you can do is you can select the files that you would like to compare by pressing a left key and then press Control and left key and then right click on it and go to Winmerge. Again, in this case, I have a two file right next to each other, but if you have two files and number of files, you can pick one, press Control and pick another, and then right click and go to Winmerge. And it'll bring the same thing that we just saw. Okay. The third one is about Git. We will look into that a little later. So let's open this. All right. Now, the next is comparing the file and trying to merge those. Okay. So we'll take a look at that. So here, if you look at the interface for this Winmerge, there are two files. One is on the left right here, and one is on the right. So you are comparing these two files, right? Let me make it the full screen. Okay. Now, so these are the two files that are shown, and all these colors means actually that what the difference between the two. And so if you look at this line right here on the left hand side, this file says this program prints hello world, and here I have set it this program shows hello world. Okay. Same thing with these. If you look at this one right here is 1, 2, 3, but here is the 2, 3, 5. So there is a difference that it was able to find. Now it might be hard to really go through these if you have a really big file, right? And so how do you quickly and easily move through the file? And so for that, it's right here. There is an option called Next Difference. So go to the top, and then let's click on this Next Difference. And so what it did is it moved directly to that particular line. And here there's another sort of interface or a difference panel, which actually compares the two and shows you what is the difference. And so this is much easier to look into rather than just going through this, because this can be a little tricky. And so by clicking on this arrow button, you can go up and down actually. Later on, this will also be enabled once you go to the next line. To find the exact difference between each of these lines. So let's go to the next one. And you can see it is now here. And the difference is I don't have off a number here on this file, right? Let's go to the next. So in this case, instead of is, I have equal to. And let's go to the next one. And so here again, it found some difference between the two. Now, one thing you will notice is when it finds a difference in a consecutive line, it tries to put them together. because especially when you are working with a source code, you would like to look at the entire uh, block of code to see what was the difference rather than line by line. So in this case, because there was only one line change, it showed one after the other. But in here, there were two changes right next to in the next line also, and so that's why it showed both of them together. Again, if you want to go back, you go up, and you can go all the way on the top. Now that is about the comparison. You can make the changes manually here, and you can say, well, I want to make sure that it is the same. Now the moment you make changes to the file, and if you click save, then all of a sudden Winmerge will say, well, you made some changes, right? And so you need to refresh your change, which is right here. And so now you can see what happened was the difference between this line is gone, because there is no difference between these lines anymore. Beforehand it was prints and shows, right? Well, that might be a little tricky, and so easier way is to actually merge the file. So let's say I go to the lower, or this lower arrow, and I see here that it says the print calculate the square root of a number, and here it is missing that. I think that I would like to have a number here also, and so I would like to merge this part or this line on this side, right? This line on this side. And so here there's this option, it's called copy left, and this arrow helps actually. So this means that copy from the right to left, and I'm going to click on that, and if you notice what will happen here. So what happened here is it just removed the difference, because now this line and this line is exactly the same, right? So now we can go to next, and now in this case, let's say I would like to change from left to right, and so I'm going to press this arrow, okay? And now again this line is equal now, so it won't complain about it. All right, and then finally we go down, and now we would like to see, okay, so this is more trickier, and so we may have to make changes. We have to resolve a conflict, or let's say I would say, well, I would like to have the same thing from here on this side, and so I can click on this one, and now it says, well, both files are identical, right? And you can remove this. I prefer to keep it so that I know that exactly that these two files are identical, right? And so now you have made sure that both files are exactly the same. You haven't saved anything yet, and so if I'm going to click save, it will save both of these files of the changes. And now I'm going to close this, and if I try and merge these two, it'll say they are identical. Now interesting thing happened here. If you noticed, beforehand I didn't have these backup files, but Winmerge created these backup files, and the reason is, you know, let's say you merge two files and later on you realize, well, I made a mistake, I still want the previous version, or the backup before I made those changes. And so that is why Winmerge makes these backups. If you prefer not to have that, you can remove those by going to edit, go to options, and there should be a backup file. So let's click on backup, and here it says, you know, create a backup into the original file, right? And so that is right, that is the reason why it created these two files. Now if you prefer not to have that, but if you would like to have a one common folder where you would like all the backups to go, then you can click this button, you can set your folder, right? Because many times if you're making the change, you don't want these backup files to show up all of a sudden, right? You can also create or append a timestamp if you would like to know. So let's try that. I like that feature actually, so that I know that when I made those changes. So I'm going to click this, click apply, okay, and I'm going to intentionally make some changes, and I'm going to refresh. Now you can see what happened here. The moment it noticed the difference between these two, it created this backup file, but it also added a timestamp. And so if you make changes multiple days, then you will at least have those backups. Though I prefer not to put all the backup file here, because that really just adds too many files. You don't need that. I would prefer it to put it into some common backup folder somewhere else, okay? So let's keep it right now. If you want to remove this, I think there is apparently there is no way to remove that. All right, so let's delete these. Okay, and let's go back to our documentation. So we learn how to use it. We also learn how to compare and merge. Now there are some keyboard shortcut that can come really handy. So let's go back to our Winmerge. I'm going to close this, and this time I'm going to compare another file. So let's go back. I have this Java file. Okay, and click compare. So this time I have again comparing two files. One is an example.java. This is example2.java. And there are some differences between the two. Okay, so as usual we can go here, or if you look at this, there's a keyboard shortcut called Alt down. So if you press Alt key and down arrow, it will take you that. So if you have a lot of changes, it might save you a little bit of time. Or if you like keyboard shortcuts like me, yeah, you can use these. I always try to learn some keyboard shortcuts because it's much faster, though you need to remember this. But if you keep on using this, it just becomes a muscle memory, and you don't need to remember all those keyboard shortcuts. All right, so here is the difference. So let's say I would like to make changes. Now so far we did these left and right copy, but what are these two? So here it actually saves you one more click, because what it'll do is it will copy to the right and then also go to the next difference. Okay, so for example, if I am here, I would like to copy this onto here, but I want it to move to the next, or the cursor to move to the next difference. Then I can click on this. So I'm going to click this, and you can see it removed the comparison between these two lines because it's the same, but it also moved to the next one. So I said, well, I like this, so let's go to the next. Now there might be a time where, let's go and click undo, unzip, or undo. There might be a time where you are comparing two files and you know exactly that, well, all the content from this file needs to go here, or all the content from this file needs to go here. So in this case, once you look at all the differences, you can actually click these buttons which says all right or all left. So if I want to move all my changes from here to here, I can just simply say all right, and then it compare all the changes from here to this one, and now both files are identical, right? So Control Z, and so here are all those changes that we saw, how you can move up and down, how can you copy or merge two files, how you can merge and go down, or how can you merge all of them all together. So this comes really handy when you are just comparing many files. All right, so let's go back, and the reason why I'm getting this is because I made a change, so I say discard all, right? So we learned about some keyboard shortcuts. Now some cool tricks. Now so far we only looked at two files, right? So if we wanted to compare these two, we just did, select these two and right click and Winmerge. What if you have two folders that you would like to compare, and then find all the different files and so on? So Winmerge can also compare two folders. So let's say I have these two files. Now I intentionally put these CSV file in both of them, and that has some differences. And so I'm going to select these two folders. I'm going to right click on it, and I'm going to click Winmerge. So interestingly, you can see that it is able to even compare to two folders. Now if you remember, the Java folder didn't have all these Python files, and so it is going to tell you that it is only found in left folder. These two files are only found on left folders. These two files are only found on the right folder. Now if you want to merge, or if you want to copy this, you can actually right click on it and then just say copy from left to right, or for example here, copy from right to left, right? If you want to leave it as it is, you can leave it, but here is the file that actually was in both the folders, and it says text files are different, which means that there is some difference, right? So double click on that, and now you can see it is actually showing me the difference between the two. Now if you have an older Winmerge, you won't see this because this is a CSV file. Winmerge is smart enough to even find the columns. Usually in the older version it didn't do that. So as usual, let's do our comparison. So if I click on this, you can see there is just a minor difference between the name, the last name Gray and Gray. So I said, well, I like this from left to right. Okay, so the next one, as usual, as I told you, if there are a number of changes in consecutive files, it'll show it all together. So here is Jamie's, and this is James, Booker on Brooks, Mary and Marianne. So again, you can pick and choose, or you can say, well, everything from the right to left. So I'll say right to left, click OK, and now both files are identical, and I click save, and now I have both the files exactly the same. All right, so these are some of the things we didn't look at, actually, the Git versioning system. All right, so most likely or most often you will be using Winmerge when you have some kind of a repository, Git or repository, or a SVN or any other versioning system. And in this case, you can actually do a comparison when you make a change. So here I have one simple file which is in my Git repository, and I would like to compare. In fact, let's make some changes here. So I'm going to add some. So new lines added after commit, okay, and save. And so now it's different. Usually it shows that different symbol or icon here. For some reason it's not showing me right now, but if I right click on it and I can do a diff here. Let's do diff. Oops, let's right click. Okay, here, so diff, and it says, okay, I found some difference here. Okay, so usually Git comes with its own comparison tool, but we would like to use Winmerge. Now, if you remember, I have TortoiseGIT installed, and when we install it, there was a checkbox which says also integrate with TortoiseGIT. If it is not integrated with TortoiseGIT, then you should be able to set it up by going to your TortoiseGIT settings, and I think it's a diff viewer. So if you don't have that, you may have to just set it up as your own Winmerge tool, and if not, then just update your Winmerge and so on. Okay, so here is a way to actually these are some additional stuff that you may need. I think you don't need all of these. You just have to specify the Winmerge location. But if you would like to do it on its own, then probably you just update your Winmerge and it should be able to do it. Okay, and so now that I already have that as set up, I can right click on it and I can go to TortoiseGIT, and I'm going to say diff. Okay, so it says both panel are same. Just a second, go up and let's try diff with previous version. I think it's because probably I just did a diff later, maybe. Okay, so yeah, this is the difference. Right click and compare with the base. Okay, there you go. So all I did is I found the different file and right click on it and click compare with base. There are number of ways to do it actually, right? So here I can see that this is actually, I don't have this file. This is in repository. This is my working copy, and there are some differences or there are some changes that I have made. If I press Alt down key, I'll go to those differences, and probably I added some items to my list. So I would like to keep this and then go to next. And if you remember, I added some lines also. And so if everything looks good, then I can maybe go ahead and say, well, I would like to commit this. So go up. I'm not sure why it is. So commit, and I would say made some changes. Okay, and commit. And then you can push that to your repository or keep it in your local repository and so on. Right, so we looked into a lot of different ways to use Winmerge. We learned how to install, how to use it from different ways, from start menu, right click menu, and even with Git, TortoiseGIT, and same thing would work with SVN as well. We also learn how we can compare and merge, and we learn all the different menus which will help us compare and even merge. And then we also learn that you can compare with these two folders also. So that's all about Winmerge. I hope you guys liked this video. If you did, please click on the like button and please subscribe to my channel, and click on the bell icon. So yep, thank you very much, and please add some comment if you would like to see a video about a particular software or an app. All right, thanks.